So, in the last module we discussed about data security and why data security is important, the reasons why it is important. Now, we will be discussing the risk management issues with respect to data security. So, to secure risk management, business corporations have to take certain steps in creating a new corporate culture that is conscious of information security. So, the features that may help in risk management with respect to data are: first is awareness. Information security awareness programs within the corporations are the beginning steps of developing a corporate culture for information security. The human resource department should take proper responsibility to initially acquaint the employees with the importance of information security. Cross-functional teams are risk councils, then security steering committee, and the other committees like this have to act together to in their information security objective. So, with this coordinated effort, it requires it reduces the duplication cost. Third, which is very important, is the management commitment. The culture of an organization usually depicts the reasoning behind in the activities taken and the goals. So, when it is the culture of the organization to be assertive on information security, then it filters down from the top employee to the last employee. So, what is the approach taken by the organization in the assessment of the actual risk, and their constant review helps the people to understand the real risk and rather than follow some systems blindly. So, an intentional approach to security can help to select appropriate controls and to mitigate the risk. So, and a balance has to be done between the risk management support, competent people, the needs of the employees, the employees' privacy, the technology, and then techniques taken for monitoring. So, these type, it has to be a balance between all these factors. So, if the initiative is taken by the business organization for risk management with respect to information security, so it puts the business on a very good business model, but it also have a trustworthy model to follow. So, how this can be done, if this culture has to be achieved of awareness, cross-functional team, the commitment, managerial management commitment, and then approach, then this gets its reflection that through the processes developed in the organization. So, what are the IT processes? So, what are the responsibility of the organization to themselves and to its different stakeholders, other concerns when we are talking of the IT processes. And the three things which becomes important over here are prudence, due care and due diligence. Whenever we are talking of prudence, it is, we know, like it is the judgment of the people who are responsible for running the system. So, how to increase the security, how to inbuild safety measures, so and how to manage the affairs of information so that it is not misused by some unauthorized people and losing this information to unwanted and unauthorized people. Due care should be taken to protect the interest of the stakeholders so that they can entrust their most treasured information and reputation in the hands of the able managers. And for this, this is actually a principal agency relationship, and to exercise this due care, the honesty of the person, the integrity of the person agent who is entrusted with this responsibility, to cross check to see there is no major conflict of interest happening with this person are important for this due care to be taken for the most treasured information of the stakeholders who have entrusted you with the responsibility of the proper use of those information. And the third virtue, which is most important over here, is the due diligence. Due diligence is the foremost virtue in the eyes of law. Today, due diligence in the matter of information security plays a big role in area such as in the capital market. So, when you are talking of due diligence, it is the disclosures and declarations are true to the information that the company possesses, and falsifying of data can lead to various problems. So, seen in a broad spectrum, so IT is a common good for the benefit of all. So, for the IT professionals have a special responsibility to be the stewards of this technology, and then the service demands like a competent people delivers these services, and they respect other people's privacy and property are protected. So, information security processes are also backed by laws to govern the use of information security. So, all countries mostly have enacted laws to ensure the integrity of the data, the privacy of the people who have shared their data, and to prevent from its possible misuse and to prevent from the possible misuse of the data and the protection of the businesses. So, let us now see some of these laws which are there with relevance to data security. So, what we find maybe over here, if you go back to the date, it is from way back in 1934 that you find the laws are there for like telecommunication, freedom of information, which is 1966, and privacy, copyright 1976, which deals with the protection of the intellectual property including publication and software. We will be discussing intellectual property in details in the next modules. So, cryptography, which deals with the regulates interception and disclosure of electronic information, then access to stored communication, then provides penalties for illegally accessing stored communication such as email and voicemail stored by a service provider, threats to computers per Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which is then again 1986. So, formalizes laws to counter threats from computer related acts and offences. Federal Agency Information Security, then you find criminal intent, categories crimes based on defendant's authority to access a protected computer system, and criminal intent. We will be discussing the different types of crimes and punishment in the next modules, like Economic Espionage Act regarding trade secrets, personal health protection, digital encryption and digital signatures, intellectual property, then copy protection, identity theft. Then in banking you find laws at the terrorism, stiffer penalties for prosecution of terrorist crimes. Accountability, we have already discussed about the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, or for computing public accounting reform. Then the spam, so regarding pornography and other things, fraud with access devices. So, these are various. So, what we find over here, maybe there are various laws with respect to data security, and throughout, like in different countries, we started from way back in 1934. So, in Indian Parliament in 2000, the Information Act 2000 Information Technology Act 2000 was enacted. The Information Technology Act was amended again in 2006, so which replaced the old laws which were governing the posts and telegraphs, and it now reflects the new realities of the new information communication technology. So, protection by the law. The IT Act offers the much needed legal framework, so the information is not denied legal effect, validity or enforceability solely on the ground, that is based on electronic records. It provides ways to deal with cyber crimes. In view of the growth and of transactions and communications carried out through electronic records, the Act seeks to empower government departments to accept filing, creating and retention of official documents in the digital format. The Act has also proposed a legal framework for the authentication and origin of electronic records communication through digital signature. In e-commerce, the provisions of the Act contain many positive aspects. The implication of these provisions for the e-business would be that the email would now be a valid and legal form of communication in a country that can be duly produced and approved in the court of law. Companies shall now be able to carry out electronic commerce using the legal infrastructure provided by the Act. Digital signatures. Digital signatures have been given legal validity and sanction in the Act. The Act throws open the doors for entry of corporate companies in the business of being certifying authorities for issuing digital signature certificates. Notification. The Act now allows the government to issue notifications in the web, thus heralding e-governance. Official communication. The Act enables the companies to file any form, application or any other document with any office, authority or agency owned or controlled by the appropriate government in electronic forms. By means of such electronic form as may be prescribed by the appropriate government. And information security. The IT Act also addresses the important issues of information security, which are very critical to the success of electronic transactions. The Act has given a legal definition to the concept of secure digital signatures that would be required to have been passed through a system of security procedures as stipulated by the government at a later date. So, these are some of the mentions which find prominence in the Information Security Act, and also we find the data protection has a major mention over here. So, under IT Act 2000, it is now possible for corporation to have a statutory remedy in case anyone breaks into their computer system or network and causes damages or copies data. So, the remedy provided by the Act is in the form of monetary damages not exceeding rupees 1 crore. So, however, we can understand that the law is not comprehensive. So, because it may so happen, like when we are talking of who is responsible, like if some stakeholder, some users have misused the internet for their personal purposes and posted some data maybe which becomes viral, then whom do we hold responsible for it? Those who have posted it, or maybe to the website that they have posted, the owner of that portal? Who is responsible? These type of questions becomes like ethical issues. These type of questions becomes ethical issues when we are dealing with the thing who is responsible. And there is, because when we speak of internet, we speak of another right which is side by side, freedom of speech. So, the freedom of expression. So, when these type of things are there, corresponding ethical issues come regarding censorship in the internet. So, because there are no, suppose more so in the case of globalization, and maybe the where there is no territories and maybe no government regulations are there, or can debate can arise, can government put censorship also to the information being shared, and to what extent. So, the debate for, there could be debate both for and against censorship, but and however, there are tools which are also getting developed, which can overcome any form of surveillance and banning of access. So, on one side there are ethical questions regarding whether this surveillance should be done, is it not creating a barrier for some of the rights which are like fundamental rights for the individuals. On the other side, it is giving rise to a new industry, new ways of finding out how these surveillance mechanisms and banning of access mechanisms can be bypassed, and you can have access to the data. So, there are ethical issues with respect to these type of products also. So, there could be issues with these type of there could be issues with these type of products also. So, first issue which becomes relevant in this case is that of having no territorial borders. So, for the internet, actually there is no border except for the place where some of its use have been banned. And so like with now, with the advancement of technologies, like where internet can be accessed from the mobile phones and all, with the integration and the convergence of the technologies, this no territory concept has become more prominent in present days. So, next what becomes important is the smart censorship. In smart censorship, more and more intelligent software programs are used to censor. So, Smart Filter is one such software whose customers are ironically those who smother democracy by limiting the freedom of speech. So, the irony of the IT is that it can be used as a weapon both for and against certain issues that you are representing. Unintended censorship. So, these are several software programs like work as net nannies in educational institutions, workplaces and households. So, they try to block certain words as they match, could be regarding pornographic words. So, even some innocent words, if they are matching some pornographic words, they get blocked. So, when on one side these type of softwares are getting developed, on the other side there is a parallel way of development of some other softwares who can circumvent this effect. So, now there are softwares available who can circumvent the net nannies, government bans and site blocking technologies. So, like proxy servers are private networks which are virtual private networks which can be subscribed to. So, there are other types of softwares which are called sneaker net. So, when censors are busy in the virtual world to suppress things happening, so it helped like the sneaker net, they carry data from one place to another and distributing it. This needed no network at all. So, we can tell like censorship is justified on some basic moral grounds for maybe for the larger interest of the person, the citizens and the country, or for the greater interest of the organization, but also a prudence have to be called for, so that the people's basic right for communication and freedom of expression are not hampered. So, like pornography, if it is seen from its production aspect, is a violation of human dignity because it uses persons as sexual objects. Seen from a consequence, it is a cultural and religious degradation. but when the minors see the sites and interact through them, its social repercussions are undesirable. So, the dilemma is that for the what should be done in this case, because all the adult materials then goes against the traditionally held moral values, but this is a hugely growing industry now. So, the people who live in this industry or who work in this industry are itself in a position of self doubt. They feel more guilty than the customers. So, there is a there could be a natural loss of one's self worth, self esteem by being object of sexual pleasure to so many people, anonymous people whom even we don't know about. So, these are ethical dilemmas. Then this is just an example. So, these type of things, what needs to be done in these cases, and what are the steps taken, and what consequences we are when you're trying to stop these things happening, then what are the larger consequences that we are looking into, and protection of which right we are looking into. These needs to be well balanced. In the next section, we are going to deal with the examples of different crimes that are related to computers. Thank you.